Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In this week's episode, we had an awesome conversation with the renowned photographer, Dani Diamond. In this week's show, you're going to learn about how to achieve a work-life balance as a creator, how to understand the right business moves to make and when, and what is really meaningful in life as a creator as well. We really think you're going to enjoy this episode. We learned a lot, and stay tuned. This week's episode is sponsored by Teva and the Deal Sephardic Network. If you're looking for a great time with great food and great people, then the DSN is the place for you. I think I had the best tomato soup and pizza in my entire life there. So definitely check it out and keep them in mind next time you want to host your event or next time you just want to have great food. So thanks again for the sponsorship. Check them out and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Content Theory, the show where we dive into the lives of creators who've made it, sharing the highs, the lows, and the unforgettable stories that come with turning passion into a livelihood. I'm your host, Tzvi Simchon, and I'm joined today by our co-hosts, DJ Warga
Heyo.
and Asher Brooks.
What's up, guys?
Joining us today is our guest, Dani Diamond. Dani, you are known for being one of the most renowned fashion and portrait photographers in New York City, an absolute expert on the technical and the natural expressive aspects of photography, as well as an all-around awesome guy with a lot of energy and a lot of discipline. Dani, welcome to the show.
Wow, what an introduction. I love it. I'll take it.
You'll take it? It's all true, all true words.
Where's my introduction?
All right. So, Dani, seeing your work, you're known for, of course, so many things. You're incredibly talented, but there's two things about you that scream at me. Obviously, you're massively talented as a photographer, but maybe even more fascinating in terms of your attitude. You have a very distinct personality that sets you apart from the rest. You're very disciplined and you're very energetic. Can you speak to that a little bit? Was that something that you developed over time? Were you always like that?
Well, I think since I didn't have great looks growing up, I had to make up for it with a good personality. And music is what I owe everything to. And really the upbringing between the two of them, I just let myself go. I just try to be natural no matter what. Natural always wins, keeping it simple and natural.
What makes you so confident in everything that you do?
I got to give credit to my parents for that, honestly. I've thought about that often. I don't think I'm super confident. I think I try to find a nice balance of being humble but confident. But I think my parents, just having, believing in you, never putting you down, always giving you a positive reinforcement. I think your upbringing is the most important part of how you turn out as an adult.
What's your favorite memory as a kid?
Legos, bro. Legos. I'm telling you.
I love Lego. I used to have a
build
YouTube
confidence.
channel where I used to build like candy machines out of Lego. I
You
don't
serious?
I used to
Never
never
seen
seen
those.
those. I used to
Yeah.
stop. The way I got into video was my first thing I did was stop motion animation with Legos.
Oh my God.
But that's for sure. That's got to be a common thing that creative people like yourself and I guess like everyone sitting in this table, like I feel like Legos is a big.
And you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone at home.
Legos is where it's at. I wish that there was YouTube when I was growing up because I would make a YouTube channel, get sponsored, get free Legos. But I grew up on the same 2 Lego sets, bro.
I was
Which
making,
ones?
I was making
They're the ones that aren't actually anything specific. They're just like a whole bag of random bricks.
Yes.
Yeah, you know,
I got them from
they're
eBay
the
for like
best.
$25.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those were so
Yeah.
much fun. But how did so what we I want to talk to you a little bit about your actual skill set, which is very wide and impressive. So can you briefly run us through your story? How did you get this good?
I think that I've always approached photography as a business more than an artist. So there's a path made for you if you're following such a business as a business and not photography, because you know that you have goals that you're setting. You're not kind of just navigating the world as an artist of like either take what I do or take it or leave it. It's more like, what do you need? I go to the clients, what do you need? What does the audience want to see on social media? It's always about what they want, not what I want. And that's what's going to really help you pave and create success and build a business, is just constantly looking at other people's needs, meeting their needs while finding some kind of balance as an artist.
Would you say that that was like one of the most important things that helped you develop your skills is just thinking from the client's perspective?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you gotta to build a name. You first have to have some kind of signature look to your work as an artist. You need to be known for something specific. You can't just be a jack of all trades. So I built a signature look to my portrait work early on. I didn't it wasn't motivated by making money at first. I was just getting married, so I didn't have any serious bills. I was able to do what I love and show the world. And I consistently kept on showing them the same thing over and over and over. And then boom, the second client started coming in. That's when I took it seriously as a business from a business perspective. And that's when I was able to really grow in that genre.
Pretty cool.
What is that look? How do you? I've seen your Instagram, and anyone listening to this, check out his Instagram. Super cool. How would you describe it?
I mean, if you look at all the images created by AI right now, I confuse that stuff with my
scary.
work because
Maybe they
Yeah.
copied it from you.
well, that is what AI is training on what the humans already created.
Correct.
And so I have this very distinct formula for creating portraits, which is very popular on social media now. But 14 years ago when I was starting, there was no Instagram and Facebook. We didn't have Facebook pages. We had Facebook. So people weren't seeing images. Where are they seeing images? There's no place to see it in magazines, pretty much, right? So I came up with the idea. Well, I didn't come up with the idea, but I just found the right formula that just was very pleasing to the audience. And that's the blurred out background with the complementary colors, the lighting on the skin. And last but not least is capturing perfect expressions from people, because you could be a technically perfect photographer, but no one's looking at the image twice if it's nothing special. You need it to be distinct. People need to connect with it. So at the end, once I had all the technical details down pat, that's when I was like, all right, now I got to really connect with my subjects, bring out unique expressions, capture those, and then show the world.
Also, your angles are crazy. Like, I don't see the world the way that you see the world. Clearly.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to vision. I was like listening to a cinematography masterclass, and they said that the way that they think about like the tone and the mood of a shot is the way that they look at the world. Like you can like walk outside when it's raining and say that's like a sad or gloomy tone or something like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, my eyeballs are 85 millimeter lenses right now. Everything I see is that one lens that I'm just so addicted to.
Is that your favorite lens?
How do you put on cinematic mode?
Is the 85 millimeter
The 85 that's where I built my name. That's what I did for 10 years. But then I didn't want to be a one-trick pony in the fashion world. You got to have some kind of diverse portfolio, and you can't just do it with one lens. I mean, I say it's a cheating lens. You put anyone in front of that lens, they look great. But when you're shooting fashion, you got to show people different angles. And that's when I started incorporating all the different focal lengths and finding the strength within those lenses to use when I'm shooting.
Super dope.
DJ, we got to get an 85.
I think I'm gonna have to be the moderator here for anyone who doesn't know anything about photography.
Oh yeah.
So even for those, what are the differences between an 85 and a 200?
All right,
Whatever it
so
is.
here
Or
is
50, say 50, because that's what we've been shooting in.
Well, I'll
85
tell
and
you,
50.
50 is what the eye naturally sees. Your eye's perspective is 50 millimeters. 85 is more narrow. So let me explain how it works. Everything works by numbers and its focal length, starting super wide, which could be 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, which is fisheye category, which is like 0.5 on your iPhone. Then you have the numbers going up higher, and you could go all the way up to 200, 300, 500. So 500 would be a wildlife photographer shooting birds in a tree, would be shooting with 500. People look great at 85 because it just melts away the background and it doesn't distort any features on the face. So if you try taking a headshot with a 0.5 on your iPhone, you ain't gonna look
Right,
good.
exactly. It's gonna be like
So-
It's not
distorted.
WhatsApp
Exactly.
profile picture worthy.
No, absolutely
definitely not. Fun fact: all of my headshots Danny took, and like that was like 3 years ago that you took my headshots.
Yep.
And I'm still using them till today. They're that good.
Everyone needs one good picture of themselves. That's what I always
For
say.
sure.
You don't have to run around taking a million pictures. You just need that one killer headshot of you, and that is it.
But I'm lucky. I got like 20 from you, so we're chilling.
Oh yeah?
I think we got a lot.
Did I
Yeah.
charge you for that?
We'll talk about it later. So there's so many different industries within photography, obviously within the creator space. And so my question is, how did you decide on which industry, meaning you chose to work in the fashion industry. How did you decide to work in the fashion portrait industry?
Well, at first I was afraid of taking pictures of people altogether. I was shooting landscapes, flowers, macro, watches, jewelry, anything that wasn't humans. because they don't speak back to you. You don't have to interact with them. And I was kind of an introvert type of personality. But I was one time I did a photo shoot. It was for my father-in-law right after I got married. And he makes suits. He manufactures suits in Italy. And he said, "You want to do a fashion shoot?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I want to do a fashion shoot." You kidding me?
How old were you?
It's so cool.
I was 23 right after I
Oh,
got
wow.
married. I
Okay.
mean, I was taking pictures of families and stuff beforehand, but I said, you know what? Let me go out and do this fashion shoot. You know, I didn't know better, which was great. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I started working with a model. I was like, wow, I don't even have to tell this guy what to do. Boom, boom, boom. He's giving me one pose after the next. And I
He's
said,
basically an animal.
yeah, exactly. And I say, you know what? Fashion is what I want to do because I cannot be in front of crowds at a wedding. I cannot do events. I can't do corporate headshots. So I said fashion. And I mean, shooting fashion is prestigious. You know, everyone wants to do it. Who doesn't want to shoot fashion? You kidding me?
It looks so cool.
Right. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing. You get to travel, you get to meet people, you get to shoot fashion. It's clothing. You get to work with models. And I
And
was
you're
like,
good at it. And you're
Yeah.
like really good at it. Like
"Yeah, that,
I don't
I
think
mean-
if you never heard who he is before, like literally check out his Instagram. It's not normal.
It's like the best of the best. And that's why literally every single like Jewish like modest brand hires you for all of their stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was very conscious about staying in the modest fashion field since I started. That was a conscious decision I made because I wanted to be part of the community.
How did you break into that like huge wide network of fashion brands and like big name brands?
Okay, so I didn't break into it. I created the Jewish fashion industry
Whoa.
when it came to photography. When I started, which was
That's a
14,
statement.
I mean, listen, I could say it with confidence. I have history. If you go back and look, I did the first fashion shoots in the Jewish world. I am not big in the fashion industry in the world. It is specifically within our community, the Jewish community, that I dominate because I was the first one there. I started it. It was, it was circumstantial that I started it when social media was just starting. Instagram was starting. And one brand took a chance to do it, and everyone else followed. And I was there. I was waiting.
Awesome.
To pull back for a second, doesn't that go against the whole dream of being in fashion? Is for most people when they talk about it, is like go to the Met, go to some big Vogue shoot. So isn't this kind of capping that dream?
You know what? Sometimes I think about that, but then I would be lost in a sea of talented photographers if I go out into that world. And I'm happy with where I am. That's the one thing that I've always had with me is just being happy with what I have and not always looking, which, I am capping myself. But if I don't cap myself, are you ever truly satisfied in life?
Mhm.
If you're always looking, I mean, I meet guys all the time. I go to shul every week. Guys are like, you have so much free time. Last month, you didn't have any work. I'm like, yep. They're like, what? Why don't you find another job? Why don't you try growing? Why don't you hire photographers? And I say, you know what? If you're not happy with what you have, you're never going to be happy and you're just going to be chasing and chasing. And what's the point of working if you can't even enjoy the money and the time that you're free in, right?
And that is palpable, by the way. Like before we were here eating, we were setting up the shots. We also happened to be surrounded by a beautiful view in a really nice restaurant, but we could feel that it's just one moment. You're very present. It's all.
I get to meet popular people and famous people all the time. Don't ask me any names. I don't remember. But I work with very popular people all the time and they're not there. They're in front of you, but they're not there. Their mind is everywhere else,
Right.
and you get so lost so quick on social media and if you're not just conscious to stay in the zone, in front of people, with the people you're at right now, you're just going to get lost. You don't have a life. You're just a empty shell,
Like you were making us coffee and getting us food. That's
Oh, dude.
He
so
does
nice.
good
Coffee.
You did not have
coffee
to do
art.
that.
The coffee art is
Coffee
crazy.
is where it's at,
Oh my
dude.
God. Yeah.
Coffee's where it's at.
So Danny, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if this is uncomfortable for you. You said that like for community reasons, you wouldn't want to do non-modest clothing brands. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like why modest?
Well, you know what? This is a whole subject, and keeping it modest. Our community has boundaries, right? And I try to push those boundaries, but stay within the community. I have, and it's not just a community-wide thing. I have a family. I got a wife. I got kids, and sticking to these guidelines of just keeping the clothing modest has been super rewarding, believe it or not, because people respect that. I had a sponsorship with Nikon,
Whoa.
and I was like, why me? Why me? There's tons of other famous photographers out there, 10 times more talented than
Yeah,
me. Why would you
sure.
choose me? And I noticed that in some emails back and forth, they really stressed the point that they want someone who is in a modest fashion, shooting fashion in a modest way, representing their cameras and their lenses. I was like, wow, you know what? Those 10 years of doing this has paid off. But I believe that there's respect around that, to keeping it modest, and the clothing lines that I'm doing in the Jewish world, they respect me for that. And I still try to make my images look sexy without compromising.
Is
the
that what you
clothing.
mean by pushing the boundaries? How have you pushed the boundaries?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's mostly with the expressions, I would say.
It's
Right.
like a little bit of a
Yeah, I try. It's hard to put it in words, but
Right.
you can show. You
But
can look at my
tell.
work.
Like
yeah,
when you said it like that, like it just clicked in my head.
But
Like,
what
yeah,
would
that
you
makes
say to
sense.
someone? What would you say to the model?
it's just making them feel comfortable. It's with the eyes. It's with the lips, the eyes, the body posture, the poses, where you could just make something look super attractive, but
and modest.
yeah, but they're modest. Listen,
Right.
we have the same thing in our community. As long as you wear that black hat and that black
Right. It's
Yeah.
the
jacket and a white
costume
shirt,
aspect of it. I hear that
Yeah, I went through tells, dude. So
as well.
Are your models Jewish?
none of them actually. No, I don't. People ask me if my kids would model. No, it's not for. It's not for. It's not for me. I wouldn't put anyone in the frum community in that position.
You wouldn't take a model that's an Orthodox Jewish girl.
There have been occasions which they have modeled, but I don't want to put anyone in a position where
Yeah. I got it.
If we can get a little like in the sauce about models, I feel like working with models can be challenging in a way because models probably have egos. They're very into making sure they look flattering. And I've never done this.
You are so wrong, and
Okay,
so
so
is
tell me
everyone
why I'm
else
wrong.
about
Why
this.
they're just naturally like that good
Are they
looking?
like,
No. I mean, first of all, if you see a model in the street, you wouldn't know that they're a model. You wouldn't. I mean, some of the models I work with, they are just lawyers, they're nurses, they're ordinary people, they're working in restaurants, and they don't look a particular way. They don't eat a particular way. They don't have a particular attitude.
Really?
They are just regular people. I'm
Maybe
telling
it's
you.
because
That's
they're
awesome.
modest models. I don't know.
I guess,
No.
you see people like on like they're kind of like put on a pedestal for their like flattering looks. And I guess maybe you get the feel that they have like a bit, they could be like a piece of work. I don't know.
No, I mean, they maybe present themselves a certain way, like you're saying, in front of the camera, but they're just ordinary people. And the second you point the camera at them, I think that if I could find that common denominator within all models, is they have confidence.
Mhm.
It is not the looks. They know their angles. I know my angles. They understand the lighting, and the confidence goes right through the camera. Boom. It's the
Wow.
eyes, it's the expressions, it's knowing where to put their hands at the right times. I mean, anytime I'm shooting someone who's not a model, their first question is, all right, how do I look? Can I see? Where do I put my hands? But the models, they're just bam, bam, bam. One pose after the next. They know exactly what to do.
You go.
On that same topic, you obviously, when you're just walking down the street or you look in a mirror, you know exactly what to look for.
Yes,
Is that-
sir.
is
Yes,
that
sir.
stressful in any way? Is that
I mean, it's stressful for my wife to watch a movie with me because the whole time I'm like, oh my God, did you see that camera angle? Whoa. And she's like, can we just watch the movie?
Never.
But yes, when I'm walking in the streets, all I'm looking at is lighting. I'm like, yeah, that's a model. There's so many times I've picked a model right off the street where I'm like, excuse me, do you model by any chance? And I'm like, yes, I do. How did you know? I'm like, well, I shoot
do this for a
fashion
living.
and I would love to.
That could be a crazy social media like video thing.
Yeah.
That'd
Like
be
guess
cool.
if people are
Yeah.
models.
Yeah, that's great.
Well,
Probably
what
for
about the
still.
way you see yourself and the way you hold yourself? Because all
You
these
know how to
posture
model?
or gestures. Are you self-conscious about everything you're doing?
The opposite, because people see me show up to fashion shoots in Crocs, and I'm like,
That's a power move,
I
dude.
am shooting fashion. I am shooting what you're gonna see on social media next summer, next year.
Wow.
So I feel so comfortable. I've been around clothing and fashion and people that are so worried about how they look and dress that I do not care. I have realized, I've watched other podcasts where people are like, I've eaten the most expensive steaks, traveled to the most expensive places in private jets, that nothing impresses me anymore. It's the same thing with me. And I think that I hope everyone reaches that at a young point in their life, because then you notice and you realize that life is so much way past looks, way past, how you present yourself physically. And it's more about who you are inside as a person. Because the sooner you realize that, the sooner you have the freedom to live a life. Until then, you are just so locked up, locked away. Is my hair perfect?
Yeah.
Everything. Is my clothing? Do I have the most expensive shoes?
Wow.
Brands do not impress me. Nothing impresses me anymore. It is who you are.
I got the chills. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
That was
When did
so
you-
good.
When did you figure that out?
Progressively towards my later 20s, early 30s, for sure.
You wish it was earlier?
Yeah, obviously.
guess
Yes,
so.
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
So
But
this-
yeah, go ahead.
it really speaks to your confidence, and that was like the attribute that, like in the beginning of the show, we said like you really stands out about you is your energy and your attitude. And I remember I had a conversation with you a while back, and you were telling me how it's like you feel like it's your responsibility to ensure that the energy on set is always on point. There's music blasting, everyone's having a good time. Is that challenging for you?
It has become challenging. At first, it was easy because I had that energy 24/7. As I'm getting older, I don't have the
Right.
energy to entertain. But it is the number one priority in my industry, because there's so many people that are talented. Like I said, the only way I'm going to stand out is not by creating amazing images anymore. It's by entertaining. It's about making people feel comfortable. It's about just creating the right ambiance. So food and music, I'm telling you, I say it, people think it's a joke. Food and music is where it's at. If you feed people, if you play the right music, people feel good. When people feel good, people want to work with you.
What's the best snack or food to have on set?
I used to be such a junk eater now, but you know what? I started becoming more conscious about what I'm putting in my body, and it's really helped me feed people, because now I walk into a room, the first question, do you have any dietary restrictions?
Right.
You asked
And
us when you were
I asked
treating
you,
us.
bro.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I already knew your answer was going to be pizza. That's the only thing y'all want to eat. You're still
He
young.
knew. He saw right past us. He knew.
I mean, grilled cheese, I think, is worse. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, probably. But what's like? Do you have any like interesting or like unusual like stories or experiences from like set? Like any fun stories, maybe like an interesting character, or like a memorable moment.
Hottest model.
I can't answer that.
It's
bro.
like it's gonna cut. It's gonna cut.
No. The answer changes every month. I will come back to that as soon as I could think of something.
right, no
How about
problem.
that?
All right. I want to segue into the business side of it, because you're a business major, right?
Yes, actually, I did. I didn't graduate.
You didn't
I forgot to do
graduate.
the last 2 or 3
Whoa.
claps.
Did you just remember now?
Yes,
Get those done.
I
Where-
probably should.
Where
Call
did you
him
go
up.
to school?
I went to Ner Israel because I wanted to do college, but I had no idea what to do, and no one really helped me while I was there.
Some of our listeners don't really know. Some of them might not be in the Jewish community. Maybe just
All right, so
clarify.
let me go back a few steps. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. My parents wanted me to be near home, so they sent me to the one and only yeshiva, super religious from yeshivish place called Telz Yeshiva. It's at the top when it comes to.
What does that look like for someone who's like totally is not Jewish, doesn't really know?
All right, if you're not Jewish, you do not talk about college. You are only going to be learning in biblical studies for the rest of your life, and while your wife works and provides for the family.
Right.
That should pretty much give you a good explanation of the high school I went to. So once I left that high school, I was kind of lost, but I knew I wanted to work. So I went to Ner Israel Rabbinical College, which is in Baltimore. And it was my 1 year of freedom, I'd like to say, because no one was on top of me to make sure I'm studying. So I was partying. And when I say partying,
Going to Dunkin' Donuts.
yeah, exactly. I went to the library and I went on the internet, bro.
Whoa.
That was the worst thing I ever did.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah, go to
Rebel.
ebay.com.
DJ and I were in Dunkin' Donuts once, and we saw some people like on their iPod, going to the internet, using the free Wi-Fi there. That's
thrill.
like sketchy activity.
Exactly.
For them, yeah.
exactly.
That's a
Crazy to
Sunday
think
out with
about.
the boys.
Right. So after that, I went to, I was lost there. No one was helping me. I got up and I said, you know what, I'm just going to go to college. And I ended up not going to college, going to a different religious school that happened to have a college program. And that
Oh, wow.
was Waterbury Yeshiva.
Ah.
Yeah. So in Waterbury Yeshiva, I started business school while the rabbis there were totally okay with my hobbies, which consisted of photography. And I went to business school and I cheated my way through because studying is not my thing.
And in your other yeshivas, photography, that was not it?
No.
What did
Not
people like give
accepted?
you?
No, you're just sitting down and learning the Bible all day and night. All day and night. I mean, you could play sports Thursday nights for 1.5 hours right before curfew. That
Right.
was extracurricular activity.
Did you like the biblical learning?
That's a very good question. I like the atmosphere it created. I think it set me up for success later in my life. That's what helped me have discipline because even though studying was not my thing, I had to do it. And I learned how to stay disciplined. And also, this whole thing about community that we spoke before, since I was so attached to the community, I was also the one Sephardic kid in my yeshiva. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, my family originates from the Middle East, Iran specifically, both of my parents, while everyone else in the school was coming from different parts of England and Europe. So since I was the one kid with the dark skin, I was allowed to be a little bit different. You know, the Sephardic heritage allows you to eat differently, listen to different music.
There's different customs.
Right. So I was in a community, but doing my own thing. And to this day, I am in a community, pushing the boundaries, doing fashion. So that's why I think that having that upbringing throughout my earlier child life in elementary school and high school has helped me with my business now.
That's awesome.
What do you do? What do you do if you're not Persian? How do you do your own thing?
Oh, we're going to have, don't worry.
Because you have a Sephardi card.
Yeah, I do. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandmother is from Egypt and my grandfather is from Yemen, but I don't have the dark skin. So how am I
Can't play the card.
I can't play the card.
Sorry, bro. But Yemenites
know.
are pretty good, dude. They're lenient more than anything else, more than any Spartan. So you gotta
So they just do whatever they want.
get a tan, bro. Just go to Miami.
You talked about creating basically this new industry. Do you see it as part of your responsibility to kind of pave the way for people behind you, or is that just something that naturally happens?
At this point right now, I am kind of following the lead out there on social media. At first, maybe I was, but right now, I mean, I think that my industry is going to kind of flourish away, the fashion industry, and it's just going to be taken over by phones and by just people being real. People are they've been fed the fake world for too long. They're not going to go for it. It's not getting engagement. Kind of like the news.
Yeah.
People do not want to watch the news anymore. People want podcasts.
Yeah.
Because
They're getting their news from TikTok.
yeah, exactly. You're getting more natural. You're finding out the world in a more natural way. You know what I mean?
And what was the idea behind it from the beginning? Why does the fashion photography industry exist? Is it just selling clothing? Is there an art to it?
People want to see what they don't have. That's how the world works.
So it's entertainment at its core.
It's entertainment, and I wish I was that model wearing that clothing.
Yeah, the fantasy
That's what it comes.
aspect.
Exactly.
Mm.
And now just a still portrait won't do it for people. They need a video.
Right. Yeah.
They need a VR try-on. They need a...
So getting more into the business side of things, because that is really what sets you apart from the rest. Photographers are stereotypically like the classic starving artist. You have a successful business. You're clearly doing something right, and I assume it has to do with your business talent and your business knowledge. So what are you doing right?
I am tackling it from a service perspective. Giving people what they need. I'm answering to them. I'm quicker, faster, and cheaper than anyone else. Simple as that. And people are like, well, you can't be all three. I figured it out. Because while everyone else is hiring people to shoot video on their fashion shoots, meaning you have a photographer and a filmmaker, I'm doing both. So it's going to come out cheaper. But I myself as an individual is going to make more money because I'm doing both.
Right. I feel so outed because I'm that videographer who, when they ask, "Oh, can you take photos also?" I'm like, it's a separate service. I mean,
Exactly.
What I mean?
So I'm going to book the jobs because there's no reason not to use me. If I'm providing everything and I'm quicker and better, why go elsewhere? And the main thing I've done is kept my current clients happy. Keep them from looking elsewhere. As long as you got repeat clients, you're winning. Because if you're hustling out there every day looking for new clients, you may get a new client, you may win, you may be making a little bit more on each job, but you're living a stressful life, constantly looking for new clients. If you just have a person who's one text away, I call them the one text client. They ask you, are you available on Tuesday the 8th? Yes, boom, you're booked. You don't
Love
have to
it.
explain yourself. You don't have to show any prices. You don't have to,
Traditional business wisdom says raise your prices. At least now, I hear that all the time. Raise your prices. You're selling yourself short. You can't deliver as well. But you're saying you want to be cheaper.
Well, when I say cheaper, I don't mean that I am charging less than everyone else. I'm bringing more value for what I'm charging. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so more cost effective, maybe.
Correct. Well, I'm bringing more to the table. I'm bringing photo, video, reels, website videos, and the rest of my team is bringing a ton by themselves as well.
You're less of a photographer. You're more of a media company.
Well, not as my team, yes, we are. Not as the individual, not really anymore. So
Right.
I now have a partner and teammates that together as a package. Yes, we are a full-fledged media company. We're creating mood boards. We're looking for models. We're looking for locations. We're telling you,
Awesome.
yeah.
So actually, I want to touch on that because you are, in some ways, you're kind of running a solo operation, but at the same time, you're not. Meaning, you, for example, and this, I want to also go into the equipment that you use. But I remember I had a conversation with you. I was like looking for production assistants. Until this day, I still look for production assistants to help out on set. But you told me I never use production assistants. I mean that was a while ago. I don't know if that's changed.
Yes, that's changed dramatically.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, you still invest in tools that keep things simple, that keep less people.
Correct. It's all about
necessary.
keeping it simple.
Like you have that production cart that you roll around that you don't, so
Right.
you don't need someone else schlepping it around wherever you're going. So in the light of investments, because that's a huge thing in business that people struggle to figure out. When do you know the right time is to invest and into what?
Okay, so I think that you have to have a formula where you're constantly growing but keeping it simple. Okay? It is a very hard balance to have. But like you said, when it comes to the technical details of photography, I don't have assistants, I don't have people pushing my cart, I don't have gaffers, I don't have lighting assistants unless it's a massive job, which happens maybe a couple times a year, but I try to take care of all that myself in the most efficient manner possible. Okay? But then the other parts of the business, which is the logistics of the business, which is speaking to clients, answering their questions, billing, finding models, communicating with models. I mean, sometimes we're doing 20 kids a day. You got to talk to 20 parents. I don't have time for that. So I have a partner that takes care of all the logistics, who takes care of the styling, finding locations, booking locations and all that. And I take care of all of the actual photography and
Right.
filmmaking. And I do have people helping me with editing as well. But on the day of, it is only me.
And when did you know was the right time to start hiring extra help?
I never knew when it was the right time. It probably was the right time the day I started.
Okay.
14 years ago. That probably should have been the day I did it right away. But sometimes you burn out and then you're like, you know what? It's time to change something. And I kind of waited too long for each thing. I didn't do it at the right time. I did have foresight into knowing that the world is shifting to video, and I am not into video. I
Right.
mean, I have to fight every bone in my body to shoot video.
Why is that?
I just like photographs. I feel like you have to work so hard to get a video, and it's appreciated for 5 seconds.
Right.
But for photos, boom, you take the shot,
You
click,
could
and then
look at it.
Yeah.
exactly, you can look at it forever. So I saw as soon as TikTok came out, I got to get into video. And so I got into video. Same thing was it with Instagram. When I started Instagram, photographers were like, dude, that stuff is for amateurs taking pictures of their phones. I'm like, no,
Right.
you'll see. And I started right away. So when it came to growing my marketing and branding, I was always progressive. When it came to the technical growth, I wasn't always there. It was always kind of, I was a latecomer.
Got it. People say that equipment doesn't matter and it's all about the equipment that you have. And I think there's truth and some, exaggerations involved in that. So what's your take on that?
My take is that up until you have a name and you're busy, equipment does not matter. Once you're full, you built a name, you have a lot of business, then you could start looking at the gear and be like, hey, what do I want to upgrade?
Right.
What else do I want to add? I mean, I've added so much equipment in the past 2 years. to my arsenal since I started shooting video. But when I started, you see these photographers that are so stuck on their gear. I'm like, dude, you're spending your paycheck on gear. You're even putting yourself in debt.
Right.
Are you kidding me? I bought 2 houses. I'm raising a family. My wife hasn't worked much over the past 12 years I've been married. I am saving way more than I'm spending. And then now at this point, 14 years in, I'm like, hey, let me look into that wireless monitor,
Right.
which got sponsored, you know?
Nice.
So cool.
But you can't get lost in the gear and equipment. You can't. You got to really be disciplined, hold yourself back. Do not buy the new camera until you sell the old one. I mean, even to this day, you know, I could buy any equipment I want, but I first posted on Facebook Marketplace. The guy's on his way to my house with cash in his hand. That's when I hit the buy
That blows
button.
my mind every time I see it, by the way. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is he selling his camera on Instagram right now?
That's so funny.
Like he has 389,000 followers or something.
Yeah.
And
Is
it
it a
works
good
probably,
platform?
right? People buy it on there.
What-
Yeah, I mean, I get top dollar because if a fan buys my camera equipment and I autograph it, I get top dollar. You know,
No way.
You get the excellent trade value.
This is really
on
why he
kid-
built up his Instagram. Just to,
That was the
Autograph
plan always.
What was the first camera you used?
It was the Nikon. What is it? The D40 or something? It was
I don't
called,
know
or the
Nikon.
Don't
Is
look
that,
at
is that
me.
like lower
D-
end?
Yeah, I'm looking at this guy. A D90. I mean, you could Google it, but it was the Nikon D90 or D40, and then I got the D800, and that was mind blowing. I mean, when I saw that camera, I started using it. I was like, wow! I was pushing the limits on that camera's dynamic range, pulling out the coloring, and for those who aren't technically into, yeah,
we just bought a camera, so we're just learning about this right now.
yeah.
I know that feeling because I work on the editing side a lot, and I'm always looking at our footage from an iPhone. I'm like, okay, this is decent. But now we got a new camera, and it's a pretty cheap camera, honestly. But the difference in quality, it's just so much nicer to work with. I'm like, this actually looks good. This is cool.
Yeah, it's very the top line cameras out there are super powerful, but I think the iPhones are where it's at. That's the content that gets consumed.
And you have a Pixel.
And I have a Pixel. Look at that.
I'm on the same page.
I don't get these Android guys. I used to be one, but I joined the dark side.
All right,
iPhones
all right.
are much better.
You're
One
better than
day
us.
you guys are gonna get outvoted by these Pixels.
I had
the
a
same.
Pixel 7. That's pretty
Oh, you-
recent.
Oh, okay.
I have
And
the 8
then
Pro.
He's got to pass.
And then it got like water damage or something, so I got an iPhone.
Listen, it's all a tool. You saw the videos I showed you today. You could create content with any camera you give me.
How do people at home, for those who are listening, who have an iPhone and they want to get maybe more into photo or video, how can they get the most out of their iPhone?
I'll tell you what. Instead of focusing on the iPhone, focus on what you're shooting. People don't care about the technical side of things anymore. You just got to capture good content. Just focus on your angles, your shots, and who you're filming, what you're filming, and that's how you're going to win. I'm telling you, my phone is nothing special, like you said. It's a Pixel. It's an Android.
How about the lighting? Is the lighting, would you say that's number one?
Yeah, lighting is, and lighting cannot easily be taught. You can't watch a YouTube video to learn that. You have to go out and experiment. That's the only way.
Yeah, I tell that to people also. Sometimes people ask me, and I just go outside with your camera.
Yeah, I could teach you how to connect with people in a second right here, right now, but I cannot teach you how to do lighting. That's something that you got to learn on your own from experimenting.
Wait, how do you connect with
I
people?
was going to ask, that was my next
Okay.
question.
What's the
You were,
secret?
I
you were
know,
like,
that was
you were
an
asking
offer.
us to
Yeah,
ask
I
that
was-
question.
Yeah, exactly. Connecting with people is just being real, and creating a space where they feel comfortable around you, not judging them. And here's the thing. I'm going to teach you a trick right now. Anyone in the dating world is going to kill it with this tip, okay?
What a hook.
Get ready, boys and girls.
Lock in.
People tend to like talking about themselves, right? And you have to, once you understand that, then you are able to hook anyone into a conversation by simply asking them questions. What, where, how, who, what, when. People have hobbies. The first question I'll meet someone I meet on the street that I'm shooting is, hey man, where do you live? What kind of hobbies do you have? The hobby question always wins. Everyone has a hobby, even if it's sitting on the beach. Okay, even if it's reading books. I know nothing about books. What kind of books do you like? That's a simple question, right?
Yeah.
You ask people about them. Once people start talking about themselves, right now I feel so comfortable in front of you guys because you guys are asking me about me,
Aw.
right? Oh, look at that.
Make y'all feel warm and fuzzy.
I'm
Exactly.
giving away our secrets.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, all you got to do is make people feel comfortable, and you do that by listening to them, by asking them questions about themselves. Stop thinking about yourself and telling people who you are. Start asking them about who they are.
Is that a science? A lot of people, it's kind of the message of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But a lot of people see that book and even that whole concept as like you
Manipulative.
can't. Yeah, it's manipulative.
Yeah.
You can't look at people as something to be worked. Like it's a
Listen,
science.
if you read any tips and tricks on anything, you're gonna come back with me with that line. You're manipulating. No, dude, you're
You're
learning
not
how to be
actually
a better.
photographer.
You're
You just-
learning how to be a better human being. That's all it is.
Right.
If you become a better human being for others, are you manipulating them? No, you're just learning to stop being a narcissist and
Right.
and talking about yourself and start listening to other people. That's all you're trying to do.
I like that take.
Very good.
Kind of like Mr. Beast. This is sort of definitely a tangent, but Mr. Beast is. I think he's doing so much good. He has Beast Entertainment, like his whole YouTube channel. Then he has Beast Philanthropy, and some of his videos are curing 2,000 people in Africa's blindness. And
Right.
then he
He
gets
was in
all this hate
America.
for how are you using people
Yeah.
for
Wow.
content, but like the dude just cured 2,000 people's
Right.
blindness.
That people
Yeah,
can't look
but-
past that.
And
yeah.
this is so cliche, but if people aren't hating on you on social media, you're not doing something right. You're not getting views. People don't care for it. The second you're in the spotlight, there's someone out there who's going to be talking smack.
Mhm.
You
That's
get
how
do you
it
get
is.
hate comments?
I don't because I'm not on social media really. No, listen,
You're on it.
You're
You
definitely
know,
on it.
I'm kidding. I don't. I'll tell you when I say I'm not on it. I am. Dani Diamond's personal life is not on social media. Donnie Diamond's social media is on social media.
By the way, it's Danny with
Was
an
it-
I,
was
not
it
with a Y.
Donnie this
Yeah.
whole time, and we've been calling you Danny.
I
Oh,
don't know,
shoot.
man.
Oh,
Every
no.
day it switches. You call me what? You call me Daniel if you want, but that's reserved for my mom. Yeah, I think that I kind of approach social media with I'm showing people what they want to see and staying away from politics. So you're winning, you know? I
Right.
mean, the most hate I got was when I tried to bring unity in our world on October 7th, and people are hating on me for that. I was like, I'm trying to bring unity to the world. And
Literally.
yeah, but that was the second I went off tangent a little bit, talk politics for half a second.
Isn't your whole audience like Jewish, modest?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Who is
I
your
mean-
main audience?
We could look it up.
You could look at the
Oh.
insights.
I actually think that the largest following on my social media comes from Tehran, Iran.
No
Really?
way.
Yes, sir.
Your homeland.
I know.
That's awesome. Out of the 330 something thousand.
336, 403 countries. Let's look that up.
Do
Well,
you
actually,
care about that stuff at this point? Do you care
no,
about the
last
numbers?
last
No?
time I looked at this was I don't know. Actually, United States is at 23%, India 9.5,
Oh.
and then Iran is 5.8.
Your content
Oh, wow.
is very universal because it's just good pictures.
That's all.
And I guess
Yeah.
if you're in Iran, like you could see a modest photography shoot,
Yeah.
and like it's not like scandalous.
yeah,
maybe?
exactly. I could walk on the streets of on Iran and not get arrested by the Iranian.
Meanwhile, if you're a swimsuit photographer, they would freaking stone you, bro.
Straight up.
No joke.
They would. But that's true. It is a universal like forum or modem
Format.
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 Oh my god. It's a really no because
Guys,
it's
speaking of
just,
Wi-Fi right here.
Listen, everyone connects over good music, good looking people,
Yeah.
equipment and gear. You know, I'm not doing anything that's controversial. I don't think so. At
I don't
least.
think so.
Mhm.
Can we pull back for a second before you were talking about the camera gear? For someone starting out, because you were saying not to invest too much into that first. For someone starting out, what equipment should they use as a photographer?
I think what you should do is go to Zillow.com, buy a house.
Okay.
And then once you make so much money in real estate, go buy yourself whatever camera, the most expensive one, sort by most expensive. And
Is that really your
Is it the
take?
camera or the
That's-
skill or the person?
I'm telling you, photography is every day is going down drain. Between AI and cell phones, I don't think it's an industry I recommend anyone getting into. And even before all this came around, a couple years ago, I was saying the same thing. There's hundreds of thousands of photographers in the US. How many of them could say I'm making a comfortable living and know I'm going to do that for the rest of my life? Very, very small amount of photographers could
Is
say
that
that.
depressing for you?
No, I feel so fortunate. I feel so lucky. I don't think that everyone is in the same position though.
You have your spot. You have your niche.
I was at the right place at the right time. I made a couple of the right decisions over that time and it's been rewarding. But I mean, listen, if you're coming to me saying I want to do it as a hobby, I'll tell you exactly what to get. You know, you get yourself any Sony mirrorless camera in your budget range and get an 85
yeah.
millimeter lens and you
don't
can't
have
go
that.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if something were to happen tomorrow, what would you do instead of photography?
Oh.
You know what? My wife and I discuss this all the time because I come home after a shoot. I'm like, all right, that's it. Okay, we're
It's done.
done. We're done starting tomorrow.
Last one.
Camera in the trash.
I think that since I am a super motivated and ambitious guy, anything I choose, I will tackle that. I will watch every YouTube video on it, and I will go start a business tomorrow. Whether it's
Drop shipping.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get into cash advance and
That's
drop
so
shipping
old.
and real estate, but I think that I would open up a coffee shop. I would open up a barber shop. I don't know. I would find something. I would do. I love construction. I do woodworking.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. I saw you. You said that a lot of time on your story. Like, I would drop everything right now to do woodworking or something like
I thought
that.
that was backpacks, filming backpacks.
Well, backpacks is an addiction. It's not something that I know I could do as a business. I do have the biggest camera photography bag collection in the world for sure.
What's
But
your
And latte art. You have so many hobbies.
right, I want to
You
make.
could do anything.
I want to
Right.
roast
You have a
coffee.
complicated person. You could be living like 10 lives right now.
It's not complicated at all. I have an addiction issue, healthy addictions though.
That's
I
tough,
have
yeah.
I have a lot of hobbies, and it goes from one to the next. And it's my ADD. I have hyper focused ADD, and the second, and I think that's helped me with photography. The second I start a project, I cannot give up. I cannot put it down. My wife's like, "Come to bed, eat dinner." I'm like, "No, I'm not done. I'm not done."
Yes.
And so that's I get into coffee roasting. I went to Costa Rica, found a farm, spoke to the farmer, came back with 50 pounds of green beans, and I started looking into roasting profiles, and I started roasting my own beans, and I make my wife and I a cup every morning with those beans. You know,
I'm gonna
like
drive to your house every morning.
come by after.
These aren't
But-
normal green beans, right? I think of like,
No.
Not green. It's coffee green
Green beans or green beans?
What kind of coffee are you drinking, Danny?
May, you could use the soybeans. What's it called? Edamame to make matcha, right? Is that how matcha is
What?
made?
yeah.
Matcha is
wait,
edamame?
No, it's not. What am I
You're about
saying?
to break my
Matcha is-
brain.
No,
Isn't
it's not.
matcha, like,
No, matcha is a green
leaves?
leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, I have to get into that now. You
Wait,
see,
I have
Yeah.
a question. So you have a lot of different hobbies. You do a lot of different things. But you said earlier that you chose a very niche and specific thing to get good at.
right.
So I like how you realize that. Like, what's your brain like? Like, what's going on up there?
I wish I was in someone else's brain so that I could compare how my brain works to someone else's. But my brain, when it finds some kind of interest and something sparks interest in it, I can't explain why or what it is. Woodworking was specifically Japanese joinery. I was like, wow, you could build furniture without screws and nails.
You're saying where it interlocks from the pressure and then
Right.
the-
It's the
Yeah.
angles and how it clicks. And then you can use wood pegs. You can use mortise and tenons, finger joints. You could do dovetails.
I definitely know what all that is.
This
yeah,
is
for
all.
sure.
I
I
watch
would
that
say
all the
it's
time.
Chinese, but it's
Yeah.
Japanese. Okay.
Oh,
He
Um,
knows it so well. He's not cultural appropriating here.
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely, so many people kind of just have like those one or two things that they're good at. But like you have, you
But
just have a
I
lot of
will not
interests.
give up. I will not give up. I will not sleep until I master it.
Right.
It's a superpower. And you know what? It's because my parents didn't give me Ritalin and everything else when I was a kid.
You think that's what it is?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you harness that energy into like,
Right. I may
Yeah.
have not done great in school. I may have made trouble, but the entire time the teacher's trying to teach me social studies. Social studies. Come on, bro. I'm trying to figure out how to build that Lego thing in my mind. Right. When I get home, I'm building inventions. That's
So
where my
fun.
mind is. But if they gave me medications and mellowed out my brain,
there you go.
you know,
You're very lucky you didn't get Chromebooks in school because I was just when they started putting out Chromebooks. Tzvi was in school. with
Oh
me.
yeah, we were classmates.
I did not
what
do
did
any
you
schoolwork.
did you
Whatever
like
you did.
hack it and watch YouTube videos
All the
I
time.
was like,
Oh my
how am I
God.
gonna build this thing in Minecraft? How am I gonna
Yeah.
how am I gonna get better at this video game? How am I like I was not in class.
Oh my
I don't
god.
think anyone is. Moving on to the next segment. So I want to talk about your ability to notice trends early on and your ability to stick to them and like really go all in.
I think that's such a good question. Wow, that is so good. Let me take this a step in that direction. I think that the successful artists, people in marketing, graphic designer, whatever you want to say, are the people with good judgment. Simply as that. Because when you have good judgment, you're able to make the right decisions. And so, how does that translate to your question? When someone's scrolling on Instagram, right? You're looking at Instagram. When you come across something that sparks your interest, you're like, wow, that's cool. And that's your judgment making that call and not skipping to the next video and you being, you know what, that's cool. I got to go out and try that. That's your judgment. When you're out on the shoot, There's a billion different things that you could do. Your judgment is choosing the right angles. Your judgment is choosing the right ideas and trends to go with. So I think someone who has the right judgment, which is not something that you could easily just have or figure out or gain, that is something that will help you find trends and do the trends. Just being like, yo, that's a good song. And that's your judgment and your taste, right?
How do you know if a trend will stick?
You don't know. You create the trends. I don't know. If you're creating stuff that people want to see, that's what wins.
That's the
That's
only
all it
trend
is.
that really
There's
matters.
there's
Because you know what?
background
There are people that are trying to find the trending audios and the trending reels to copy. But if it's trending, you're late.
Right.
You're late. So so I am not always trying to follow trends. It's kind of like, let me just try to figure out something people want to see. And if you look at my reels, they're nothing like intricate. You know, I am not, there are some people doing crazy edits out there with CapCut.
Yeah.
Craziest edits. All those guys shooting cars and the way they're just like spinning around the cars and you see the logos popping out on the tires.
I love those.
I'm like, I'm not even going to bother
They're
trying
like
to
in
learn
the
that.
trunk, and there's like they're opening the trunk to get a shot of a car. You seen
And
those
it's
ones?
the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Wild.
watch those. I'm like, you know what? There are people already figured that trend out. I am not doing that. My style is to keep it simple and clean and just aesthetically pleasing. You're always going to win if you do that. If you're always trying to follow the trend, unless you're a trendsetter, you're usually not going to get.
That's like the last thing I would have expected to hear from you, because I feel like
Right.
you're like the most
No.
into like, if this is what it's was like you said, like when Instagram, you were doing this when Instagram was really starting to pick
Right,
up
but
for
that's
photographers.
that's not a trend. That's a straight up platform that, like, of course you got to be on that platform.
But then reels, and you like own reels now.
Right. But when you say trends, you're not, I assume you're talking about specific reels. Like this month, this is what's cool on Instagram to do.
To some extent, not
Well, that-
really. I'm saying
That's
like
that's
yeah.
what I took from your question. If your question is how do you follow the trends, I just watch where the market is going
Got it.
in the industry.
That's awesome.
What about TikTok? Because
I
you
went on-
obviously you saw
yeah,
Instagram
listen.
early. Are you on TikTok too?
Well, I was on Instagram. Then I was shooting this girl named Dixie D'Amelio, okay? And
wow.
she, some model knew her. We both lived in Connecticut. I messaged her mom because she was a kid at that point. I said, can I take pictures of your daughter for a clothing line? I used her a couple times. 2 years later, the mother messages me and sends me an email, says, hey, I have this other daughter, Charlie. And
No way.
she's famous on a platform called TikTok. And we need some headshots of her, and you're great. I went to their house, I shoot her, and I was like, you know what, let me get some behind the scenes. I always take behind the scenes. Took some behind the scenes. I go home, I tell my wife, today I had a job taking pictures of Charlie D'Amelio. You ever heard of her? My wife's like, let's look her up. Boom. How many millions? I don't know how many millions of followers she has. My wife's like, I think you should make a behind the scenes, download TikTok and put it on TikTok. Put it on 16 million views by the next day.
Wow.
16
way.
million.
That's insane.
The
owned
next
TikTok.
day. The next
owned it.
day. I was
Charlie
like,
D'Amelio.
wow, I am going to be on TikTok. I'm going to start making videos. I started posting my videos, and, you know, one after another, they're going viral. You look at my my early TikToks, they're all going viral. And suddenly, boom, dead. I was getting 250 views. I was like, all right.
Why is that? The
I-
D'Amelio effect wore out?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah, I wrote it as long as I could. I have 380,000 followers
On
on
TikTok?
TikTok, but I don't even have the app on my phone anymore. I haven't had
Oh,
it
wow.
in 2 years.
Wait, did you
Good
go
for
to
you.
the Hype House to do the headshots?
No, I was working with her before she moved
Oh,
to
wow.
California. She moved to California after that.
Where
But-
where were you shooting that?
In her house in Connecticut. That's where she grew up.
crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
half an hour away from my house. Yeah,
So you really do see the trends right
yeah,
away.
right away. Boom, and that was. I mean, I saw a nice influx of 100,000 followers. I got 100,000 followers on Instagram because I kept on telling people. I always said, follow me on Instagram. I always, no matter what I was writing for photography blogs, making YouTube videos, I always channeled people to the main channel where I'm posting on.
Are the followers that important? Like, do the followers translate to work and to
At first,
money?
yes. Now, no one cares about followers. I mean, you could have 1 million followers and 2 people see your stuff.
Yeah.
The followers don't mean much, but at first, it gave you respect. It gave you status.
I think it's like, listen, I think you show someone your account, and if you obviously like assuming that you didn't illegally, not illegally, assuming that you didn't like just buy fake followers, like there's still like an effect that it has on people when you show them, hey, I have 300,000.
Yeah, I mean,
followers.
listen, I think that you do need to have
Authenticity.
authenticity online. You need to have presence. You can't just show up
And
and who are
credibility.
you?
It
Yeah,
adds a
it
lot
gives
of
you credibility.
Right.
Yeah, it gives you credibility. The second
Right.
you see a person and they're like, oh, it looks like you know what you're doing. Do you have social media? I show them my Instagram. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what you're doing. It definitely does help, but I don't think you should be hung up on it. And I think the world is seeing this by now. People are out there making content and they're not focusing on followers anymore. They're just focusing on getting views.
Where do you think social media is heading? Like, what direction do you think it's heading in? And maybe as it pertains to creators and photographers.
I think that it's just it's focusing on just people sharing realness. People just want to see realness, and whether it's a brand creating content, you're not pushing products in people's faces. You're showing you who you are. We as humans, as long as we're always showing our human side of things, we're never going to get old. You're never going to grow old on social media if you're just showing yourself off as a human being.
What do you mean by that? Like age-wise, or you're saying relevance-wise?
You're never going to grow old?
Meaning that your people aren't going to get tired of seeing the content. People aren't going to get tired of seeing the content as if you're showing yourself off as a human being.
What is Dani Diamond excited about now? What's coming in the future? What are some projects you have coming?
Traveling to new places with my team. Really, I feel like just traveling is got to be up there. I know it sounds so cliche. Everyone's like, yeah, I just want to travel, but the world is so endless. You want to just go out there and check out the world. And photography is just a means of me getting around. It's not the end goal. It's me paying my bills. It's me, going out and meeting new people. But I don't have any kind of crazy goals when it comes to photography that I want to shoot this brand or, it's more just like enjoying being around people. And honestly, your family, it all comes down to family. Anyone who has a family understands that no matter what you go out there and do, no matter how much you work, if you're not coming home and sitting down and playing with your kid, you got nothing in life. You see these people driving beautiful cars and beautiful houses, eating the most expensive food, and they all eventually come back down and say, you know what? I did it all and I don't feel satisfied. Nothing impresses me anymore. No matter what car I'm sitting in, no matter what I'm doing, it's not impressive. But if you have a kid and you raise your kid and your kid's a good human being, and you're a good human being, that is something you look back at your life and be like, I feel satisfied. I did the best. I did the most.
An awesome answer.
So in 10 years, where do you think you'll be?
I hope I'm in the same exact spot, but just a better human being.
Love that.
You said you were traveling this past summer. Where was like the coolest place? Tell me a little bit more about it.
All right. So this summer, awesome. This was awesome. This has to be like, if I could take all the work I did and amount it to one experience, I pulled off that one experience. So I have, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 clients. And a magazine approached us in the UK and United Kingdom. And they said, we want you to shoot a spread for our magazine. It's going to be 25 pages. I mean, it's the entire magazine.
It's so
Okay.
cool.
We want you to bring a bunch of clothing lines and, just make a collaboration between all the brands you work with. So I approached 15, 20 of my clients and I said, and they were not competitors. They were all like shoe brand, jewelry, wigs, clothing. We went to 15 of them and we said, we're going to Europe. We're going to Italy with my team. We're going to travel through Italy, working with models, shooting all this clothing. And they said, all right, sign us up. Each brand paid towards this trip. We went to Italy for a week, and we went from the coast to Switzerland, all in a van, traveling day and night, getting out at the craziest spots, getting out and creating content. I'm telling you, this was
What
the
a
most
dream, bro.
Yeah, this was the most rewarding thing that we've done.
And where did the horses come in?
Oh, dude, we shot the horses.
The horses are so iconic.
This guy loves it.
Yeah.
I actually this year I went to Oregon for one of my brands, and we shot on a farm of sheep with mountains in the background, just sheep all over the place. Did you guys know that sheep are afraid of you? You can't just walk over to them and start shooting with them. The second you walk, they run to the other side of the field.
How would I figure that out?
I'm telling you, I didn't know that. I never would have gone there. I was sitting there chasing sheep for 2 days.
So how'd you just chase them until you...
I'm telling you, we had all kinds of tricks. One guy was going, we had shepherds. Basically, you're a shepherd.
No
you got
way.
people to go in different corners and then force the sheep to come up to the model.
That's crazy.
Oh, so interesting.
How close did you get?
Oh, we got them all around the model because we
Nice.
gave the model tons of grain to hold in her hand and right around her feet. And
But that
boom.
looks cool also.
Yeah, it's cool. There
That
was
looks really, really cool.
it was awesome.
What I want to know, and what a lot of people probably want to know about your life, is that there are just so many things about you that even one of them you'd imagine would take up your entire time, all of your time and your entire life, and not even your time, but your mental energy. How are you able to balance such a crazy jam-packed work life and also a balanced, meaningful personal life at the same time?
The first step was understanding how important my personal life was, and then kind of molding my work life around that. So, for example, family dinners, you got to be there.
Yeah.
Your kids waking up in the morning, if you could be there before you go to a job. But the main thing is when you're home, you're actually home and you're there and you're not in front of your computer. You're not on your phone. Weekends, that's why I say no matter what, if I was not a religious Jew, no matter what, I would do the Sabbath, because that is one day, 24 hours when you're with your family, no matter what is going on out there in the world. No phones, no computers, no work. You're with your kids. When you're with your kids, you give them your full attention. But the only way this is possible is to have an efficient system in place as an artist, as anyone who's working, whether it's automated emails, messages, having a workflow, which is, these days full of AI. I have tons of AI in my workflow for editing and for choosing pictures, all that stuff. You have a very efficient system so that it frees up more time and then you're able to be with your family, because that is priority.
Right. I feel like a lot of people just try to squeeze in personal life into their work schedule.
You can't do that, because what's the point of work? What are we working for?
Make money.
Make money for what?
For your family.
Yeah, but people don't understand that. People are like so lost in making money and working that they're not even...
They lose being present. They forget why
What are you doing with that money that you're making? Where's it going? For what?
Right.
For you to be more busy when you're with your family, for work, to buy a more expensive car that you're not even enjoying because you're working?
That's
No.
a good outlook.
It's true. All right. Before we get into the last ending question, we're going to step into our rapid fire round, and Asher is going to spearhead it, as he always does. Rapid fire. You want to just tell us what rapid fire is?
So this is the rapid fire section of our podcast, and we start with the easy questions and we get progressively harder. So buckle up, and nothing too long. I'm going to stop you. If
What
it's too
button
long.
do I push if I don't like a question?
Gotta give me an
You
answer.
can just smack Asher.
I'll kick him under the table.
I'm not sitting next to him because I need to be out of hitting.
Just don't smack DJ. He's too precious.
Okay, you ready?
Go for it.
You actually ready?
Yes, I am. Bring
you
it
know
on.
when, like you take a test and you like,
Are you sure you're
put it. You sure? You
As long as it's not a written test and I'm not getting graded, I'm good.
Oh, in that case.
So every question is 20 points. No, I'm kidding. So starting off, what was your dream job as a kid?
Architect.
Oh, what's your favorite food?
Salmon.
Salmon. Wow. Okay. Okay. What's the weirdest talent that you have? You have a lot of different talents. What do you got?
Roasting coffee.
Okay. Yeah, that works. Where's the coolest place you took a picture?
Panama.
Ooh.
But I got to tell you the story.
Yeah, sure.
You could tell us. I let.
I went to Panama, and to get to the location, we went into a motorboat where they took us through crazy high waves, higher than this thing, and we ended up on a remote island with no one there. And I'm
No
like,
way.
I'll pay you
Whoa.
$10 to stay here with us while I take my picture. I was so afraid I'm going to be stranded for the rest of my
Boat
life.
leaves,
God.
you're stuck there, or
Yeah.
the next wave. Was it a good picture?
Oh, it's epic, dude. I got that sunset with birds flying and waves crashing into the rocks off the coast. My God.
We need to link these pictures.
Yeah.
'Cause I want to see all these.
No
Yeah.
problem.
In the shorts, we'll put the picture up. This is a hard one. You ready? How do you keep that beard so crispy?
Oh, Laser by Lala, guys. Check her out. Okay.
No way.
Get laser while your hair is still dark, because once it turns white, I got the 6 hairs, white hairs over
Wait,
here
wait,
that
so
did not get lasered.
That's lasered.
Yeah.
And it always just grows in like that.
You never have to use a shaver again. I just trim my
No
beard.
way.
I'm
What?
telling you, it is the best investment. It's part of
It
being
always
efficient.
looks like that?
Yeah, like this, I have more time for my kids.
No way.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That's
Always like
crazy.
that.
Man, it's so crispy.
I'm
Yeah.
a fan. I'm a fan. Early bird. I can't read that. I can't. I have to
Say it again.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird by far. You kidding me?
Were you ever a night owl? Come on.
Never in my
I'm such a
life.
night owl.
There have been times I've been up past 12 o'clock, sure, but I get so much more done. It's so much more peaceful. Imagine having a tea outside while the sun is coming
Everybody knows that, but I feel like people just like if you're a creative, you're working till 4 o'clock one night.
Listen, if you're disciplined, you make it happen.
I'll take the Moser. What's your favorite way to relax after like a long day shooting?
Music, yoga,
Good food.
sitting on the couch, good food.
Good food.
Food. I mean, food is all day, every day. But just sitting on the couch and drinking tea, yoga, stuff like that.
You drink a nice tea with a salmon?
That's disgusting. Ew. Oh man, I've eaten all
He
kinds of
went there.
combos. I have never had tea with salmon at the same time.
Can I throw one in? Best yoga pose?
Ooh.
Oh, you want me to get up on the table and do it?
Tea
Do it right
pose?
now.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Do it right now.
Yoga.
No, I can't do it, dude.
Okay, what is it?
Does it have a name?
I don't know names. It's basically when my arms are reached out. I mean, am I allowed to say doggy style? It's basically doggy style. My
Maybe we'll
stomach,
just skip this part.
my stomach down on the floor, my hands
He
out.
likes doing
It's
yoga
freakish.
doggy style. Okay. What's one thing you could live with? What's one thing you? Oh yeah, I read that wrong. What's one thing that you can't live without? Obviously, like yoga is very important, but like,
Coffee.
mm,
Yes, sir. Coffee is where it's 1 cup a day though. Only one. Stay
what
disciplined.
happens if you have too much? Like, what happens
I only have one. I've never had more than 1 cup.
in your life?
I'm telling you, staying disciplined is the recipe for success.
That's
One-
crazy.
Because if you have more than 1 cup, I've met these guys. They're walking around with a cup in their hand. I mean, listen, half of America.
I had
Is
2
what-
today.
Yeah, and 2 is nothing. Once you have more than 1, when do you stop? 7,
No.
8, 9.
Yeah.
You never
and,
stop.
and you like it for the taste, not even for the.
Oh yeah, it's part of the morning ritual. You have that pastry with that cappuccino,
Mm.
Whoa,
with the beans I roasted, with that oat
The
milk.
green beans from
Even the
Costa Rica.
latte art is part of it.
man's living
Yeah.
life.
I don't know. I think I live a more stressful life than anyone else.
Definitely.
I feel like you like it.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
What's the 2 biggest inspirations in your life?
Now say, who are the 2? Let's say last question. Who are the
Oh.
2?
Dude, I'm dyslexic. I can't read
It's
these.
all good. We got editing for a reason.
Yes, sir.
Who are the 2 biggest inspirations in your life?
My wife and my parents. I'd say they're together.
I know Tzvi was imagining the Borat voice.
You
right
guys,
there.
you guys thought
Oh my
thought I'm gonna give you some like famous artist out there in the world. No.
Yeah.
My wife, dude. She's
what-
You
constant-
have a role model, like when people
my
say,
wife.
She's
I'm
your-
serious.
she's-
My wife.
really,
She keeps me in line. She's the power behind me. She calls me out. She makes me a better human being. My wife is where it's at. Being married to the right person who supports you is what gives you success.
how do you find the right woman?
Ooh.
Ooh, bonus round.
Classic rapid fire question.
I don't know, man. You go to Amazon, you put in the right filters and parameters, and boom, they pop up.
If only
Shipping
were that easy.
tomorrow, deliver overnight.
2-day shipping.
I'm not the right person to ask because I haven't had that much experience out there in the dating world. But if you're real in life, you'll meet someone, and if you're just real with them, and they'll automatically be real back with you. And I think that you'll know when you meet that person
All right. Shout out to Danny's wife.
if she's watching.
I'm sure she will.
My personal life stays my personal, my business, my business.
There you go.
I like that. I like that.
All right. This has been so much fun. We got one last question for you, heavy hitter. What inspires you to keep moving and hustling?
My family. It sounds so cliche, man.
No, but it doesn't have to
I'm
be
telling
cliche.
you,
It's
because you
real.
cannot
If it's
give
real,
up.
then tell it why.
You cannot give up if you know you got kids. Because if I didn't have kids, there's so many times that I felt unmotivated. I've just sat around and did nothing. And I was like, wait, but I got to pay for my kid's camp. Wait, but I got to play Legos with my kid. You know, at the end of the day, if you don't have something that's motivating you, you're not going to get
Gives you
far.
purpose, no?
Oh, yeah.
You
Like
think-
people are always searching. You know, Viktor Frankl went like viral like last year, right? The Man Search for Meaning. Everybody was reading it. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
people have been reading it for, it's like one of my favorite books.
No, but like specifically,
Online, yeah, online I saw it a
people
lot.
were talking about it a lot. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
It's like finding meaning in life.
Wait, I actually have one more thing that motivates me.
Yeah, let's hear
And
it.
this is me being real. It's the attention on social media. Oh my God.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. I don't think most people
You're
But you
talk
said
awesome
you're
about
not
it.
on social
I-
media. How do you
No,
know?
Not
his
my
social-
not
no.
my
How do you know
work,
you're getting
bro.
attention?
It's my work and my art. When people engage with it, when people see me on the street, like, hey, I follow your work.
That's
That's
good.
the best feeling in the
And
world.
they like you for your work. What do they like you for? What's the attention coming
Listen,
from?
I think that my work is what caught their attention, and then once they're following me, they get to see me dancing in my stories. They see me vibing, and then they're like, "All right, this guy's cool. you know?
But you're really honest about it. I feel like people
Yeah.
don't. People say,
People are
people
not
won't
on.
say that they
you,
want
you
attention.
don't understand. Right now, I just said something that I would not have said for the last 10 years. I had to work up so much courage to like admit to myself that I am addicted to the attention. Most people don't say that. They come up with all kinds of things that are motivating them. But at the end of the day, what are you doing on social media? You know, I don't think there's many people that are on social media to make the world a better place. I don't think that my work is making the world a better place. The fashion industry is so fake. I regret doing it in certain ways, but I'm there for the social media and the attention. I love it.
Would you have known that you would be at this point 10 years ago?
Yes and no.
Did you manifest this? Like, is this something that you wanted so bad and you got here?
I feel like I got it pretty early on, and I've just kind of stayed afloat throughout the whole time. And I just try to stay relevant. Staying relevant is the hardest part because people come and go out of the spotlight all the time. Not that I'm in a spotlight or I'm anyone special, but I feel like you could be cool today, tomorrow you're not. Especially in like the Jewish fashion world, like. I mean, you see the singers coming in and going out all the time. You see that happening in designers. You see it happening in everything, and just to stay relevant constantly, that's the struggle, you know.
Dani, you're a freaking inspiration.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you for giving me
appreciate
the
your time.
platform.
Of course. Where can our audience find you?
DaniDiamond.com, DANI, because there's 20 different
Not
ways.
with the NY because
No, DANI Diamond.com.
Amazing. Really appreciate your insight and just spending some good time with you today.
Of course.
And it's been really insightful. And I think we learned a lot.
I appreciate
So,
it. Thank you.
yeah.
thank you so much, Danny.
Absolutely.
And
Donnie.
Dani.
Daniel.
Donnie.
And thanks.
Daniel.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on our latest episodes.